Well, thank you, Lakshmi, for meeting with me to go over some frequently asked questions about the blended 3 to 6 diploma course. And so I would just love it if you could start off by telling us a little bit about your background and your journey into Montessori education and what actually led you to become a trainer.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Kate. And it is wonderful meeting you again. And yes, I mean, I have quite a lot of mileage, so to speak, in the Montessori world. But my father once told me, my dad once told me that I was a Montessori child in India. I went to a 3 to 6 program there. It was in Lahore Montessori School. It was established a long time ago. And once I migrated to the United States, we had children, and my child, I was looking for an environment for my child, and my son was highly allergic to a lot of things, and he still continues to be. So we were looking for an environment, a space where there would be no stuffed toys, no carpets, no, uh, uh, everything needed to be wood or glass that could be cleaned and washed. It had to be a dust-free environment. So came by Montessori, a preschool program, and it just appealed to us. Okay, this is perfect for my son, and everything was beautiful and pristine and clean. So we enrolled him in the program, and they had these coffees for the parents in the morning. So I attended a few, and I was just blown away with how they approach children and how think what happened in the classrooms, in the environments. And right then I decided that I wanted to pursue something in Montessori. Thankfully, we were living in St. Louis at that point of time. And I didn't look into anything. And when I Googled, I got this training center, the Montessori Training Center of St. Louis. And it was the director of training at that point of time was Dr. Annette Haynes. So didn't do any research, just read whatever was on the website, and I enrolled in the training program. So I took the 3 to 6 training with her and got into the classroom. Best time of my life. It was wonderful. I was a guide for 7 years in one classroom. And then one day I was just sitting and I was wondering what happens to these children after they leave me. I wanted to know more, right? So I looked into it, and I pursued elementary training. And I took it at Montessori Center of Minnesota under Phyllis Forrest Lewis. And once again, it was the best possible thing I could have done, both primary as well as the elementary. And seeing how children, as they grow older, how it fulfills, it satisfies their needs in different ways. So I became an elementary guide for some time, but my calling had always been 3 to 6. So one day my trainer calls me, and of course, for me it was like, oh, why is she calling me? And so I called her back, and she said, Lakshmi, I want you to take the training of trainers program. I'm like, what? Yes, you are going to take the training of trainers program. And she said that I see that you'll be able to do it. So come join me in this work. You start the lab school and start your program. Let me tell you, Kate, it's a very rigorous and very time consuming, and it is a very heavy course. But once again, enjoyed it thoroughly, though I had to repeat 3 primary courses all over again, write 24 papers. It's almost like a PhD level. So that process is so important to become a trainer, because one really gets into deep into understanding the philosophy more. And it's an ongoing thing. Even to this day, I can say I know only a mustard seed's worth, so to speak. So it's a lifelong journey into learning more and more about not just children, but also about the adults who come into the training program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where I am right now. But my journey is still continuing, because now I wanted to know what a birth through 3 child, what happens with a birth through 3 child. So I'm myself enrolled in a birth through 3 diploma course program right now. So I hope I didn't go too long, but it's just that in a nutshell, this has been my journey. And every step of the way, I have enjoyed different aspects, different perspectives of a Montessori education. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about what the blended AMI 3 to 6 diploma course entails?
Sure. The word blended entails that we will be doing part of our program in person and some of it online. So there will be an in-person module in the beginning. We will begin with an online, but we will also have a good chunk of almost 6 weeks of in-person module. And there it is very important, because the content aligns with the child's development, and it is scaffolded in person. So as I said before, we begin with a week of laying the theoretical foundation. And then, and it is critical, because this in-depth understanding of the nature of the child is, it supports the work that we will be doing in person for 6 weeks in the summer. We will be during the summer module, we will be scaffolding the course to understand the Montessori education in a holistic term, and what needs to happen with a 3 to 6 year old child. There will be an environment which will be prepared for the students to understand and implement their understanding of theory in practice. So there will be a lot of hands-on work that will happen. It also is in an in-person time, the social cohesion that develops during the in-person session, it really supports in building relationships with others, both professional as well as personal. They become lifelong colleagues and friends who are there for each other. And it also then gradually, because it's a scaffolded program, gradually these students, when they meet online, they would have already established those relationships. So the discussions that we have during the modules, we have 4 of them. During those modules, the discussions are really rich, because they know each other now. And there is a lot of there will be presentations, there will be further in-depth discussions on Montessori, there will be a lot of reading. So they bring in all that, and the wondrous thing is that they can do it at home. They don't need to leave their place. We come back again the next summer, and And in the next summer, it is almost like a family, because they would have, with support from each other, they would have finished their course requirements and finished whatever they needed to do. Now it is time to just, because of that transformation that comes along, it is time for them to just just participate in the oral exams, and they're done. So this blended course really is has it has been a successful program, in the sense that wherein the adults completely I mean, they are transformed. Their perspective about children, about themselves, it changes completely. They understand themselves as, who am I? What is my purpose? And why am I doing this? And those are big questions, and those questions get answered. Yeah.
Thank you. Are the online sessions, are they recorded or live, or is it a mix of both?
They are live. The online sessions are live. They are recorded for the students, but the recording will be available to them only for a limited time. It's not going to stay on the learning management system that we are going to use. It's called Populi. We are not going to be leaving it there. So the students really need to plan as to for the limited time it is available, that it'll be available for them. Yes.
And I think it's a good time to maybe talk about the requirements to receive the AMI diploma, because I know that with online live sessions, it's important to be in attendance. So just because there's a recording doesn't mean that you can watch it whenever. So could you go over those requirements for the 3 to 6 diploma course?
Absolutely. The 3 to 6, there are a few requirements. One of them is, of course, attendance. 90% is a requirement. So we always tell the students to be prudent, to save it in the bank as much as they can, so that when they really need to take a day off or something, for some emergency or other, it is there for them. So 90% is a requirement. We have other requirements, like they will be completing 5 albums. Albums are the resource that they will be creating. It'll be for them so that they can use it even after 30 years from now. It'll be there for them. There is also a material making component, and there are a set of key materials the students will have to make, because those materials are the gifts they give the children in the classroom, and they can use them, right? Material making is another one. And then we have 2 big components, and that will support their understanding of Montessori philosophy at a deeper level. One of them is observation, and it is for 90 hours. And we'll talk more about it once the students come and enroll themselves in the course. And we also have the students are also expected to 120 hours of teaching practice. So all these constitute requirements, and they are these requirements, though it may seem that why do we have to do it, but every time it happens, and at the end of the course, the students are really appreciative of why they did what they did.
Are you able to speak to why an AMI blended course?
Yes.
Another course that might be out there?
Sure. It is the 3 to 6 AMI course. AMI is, of course, it stands for Association Montessori International. And AMI is a global organization which I belong to, just like many others in the group. So can I touch upon a little bit about AMI? Okay, it was established by Maria Montessori in 1929. This organization is the steward of the educational approach that we offer the communities. And it is also to maintain the integrity of the approach, the authenticity, right? So as an AMI certified guide, what will they take away? They understand child development and act as a guide to help the children find their own natural path. That's our role. That's how, that's very different from traditional education, right? It also is about, the guide creates a hands-on, self-paced, collaborative, and joyful community, right? The guide transforms lives by implementing her or his understanding of the Montessori principles with the children, right? It's also because the guide believes in education that meets the child's physical, emotional, social, and intellectual development. It's holistic, right? And it's also because it guides the children to enthusiastically follow their interests. Montessori always said, follow the interests of the child, follow the child. That can come only because the guide understands the nature of the children, the needs of the children at a given point in life, right? And it's important to support those passions within the children. It is about character development. We are not developing the child's character. The child is developing the character just by living in an environment, which also includes the trained adult who understands the child. They develop self-discipline, they develop responsibility, they develop respect for self, for others, and the environment, and they develop independence. At different levels, it is different. So these are some of the, I should say, we are stewards who hold this. And blended course, going back to your question, blended course really gives the students the opportunity. We meet online for 6 weeks and then 4 weeks, but September through June, it's a lot of self-discovery that happens. We have blocks of modules where we meet, and in between, the student can have a self-paced learning system for themselves. They can plan. And when the time and space is given to the adult students, the transformation is really deep. They think a lot about, and plus we also as trainers pose a lot of questions. Why do you think you're going to be presenting this material at this point to the child? So the reason behind why we do what we do is what makes AMI quite different. It's not where we just hand over the information and the adult has to do it that way. There is no one size fits all. Every adult presents in a different way, but every presentation is valid as long as the adult understands the foundational principles. So that's the major, I would say that's why it is so powerful.
Mhm.
That's why this approach is so powerful.
How will this course help advance somebody's career? And are they only able to take it to somewhere in the US or the state that they are certified in? Or can you talk a little bit about those two elements?
Yes, it is this course. If we think about this course, the possibilities are immense. You begin with getting a diploma. That diploma, AMI diploma, allows you, or it's a ticket or a passport to go to any country and work in a school. It's a global certificate. So I've had students who have trained. They have gone to Morocco or New Zealand because the standards are the same. It's a global standard. And everywhere the environment is the same, and the adults receive an in-depth understanding of Montessori principles. And I should say it's the same, right? And as far as your career, does it stop there? No, it doesn't. You get a diploma, the possibilities in this field, in the field of Montessori education, are immense. You can take other diploma courses. If that is that's how that's the journey I took. You can become you can get into admin roles, head of the school, or it could be director of education. Any opportunity in the school is a possibility. You can also become a trainer, if that is something you want to do in your lives, and make a different kind of contribution. There is a lot of community engagement that can happen. Talking to inviting the community in, not just into the school. It could be in a town hall. It could be anywhere in the society, and start having those discussions about child development, be it orphanages, be it other daycare centers. Why we do what we do, and why it is important. Keeping in mind how to do it is equally important. So the community engagement is really one of the major work that can be done. It could also be, if you're interested in research, one of my students who just graduated, she got an opportunity in one of the universities to be part of the research team in education. Because that I knew right from the beginning that would be her calling, and she got the opportunity to do it. And and right now she is doing research on language and Montessori approach. So it could be anything. Sky's the limit. It is one can find a path that really brings a lot of satisfaction. Yeah. Underserved community is waiting for people to come and support.
Yeah, thank you.
Them.
Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to talk about a couple of the financial aspects of the course. So the cost for this course is $14,500. The $500 is a course deposit that is waived if you're sponsored by a school. And then the base tuition is $14,000 due in 2 parts. And if needed, we can talk about a financial plan as well. There are not currently any financial aid or scholarship opportunities available through MCM, but there are a lot of organizations that once you're enrolled into an AMI course, they do offer scholarship opportunities. So one of those is the Margaret Elizabeth Stevenson Fund, or the MES Fund, which they're actually taking applications now for their scholarships through May 1st. There's also the Black Montessori Educators Fund, and then there's a lot of local funding opportunities for individuals too. So it's really worth finding out in your state or the state that the training's in, which this one will be Illinois, if there's other scholarship opportunities available. So I think, are there other financial pieces that people should think about throughout the course aside from tuition?
Aside from tuition, because we are going to be doing the course in Chicago, and they will have to come for 2 summers, 6 weeks and 4 weeks. So it'll be wonderful if people can come together and look for housing and reasonable housing. And as for the training center, we will also be we'll be looking out for it. We will connect with the local community and find out, so that information that is an information we will be passing along to the students. And also it is that's a big load. We understand that you don't need to relocate to Chicago to do this course. You just need to come for this short period of time and get as much as you can during the in-person module. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And materials, what you mentioned materials as a requirement. Do you have a general allotment? We say about $500 to $1,000.
Yes, that is another thing.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
for the 3 to 6. So it's also good to keep that information in mind. Let me see.
May I add a little bit of for
Yeah.
the material as well? It is the budget depends on the students, and they can get really creative and get materials be on a lookout. Planning is the key. If you find something when you visit a thrift store or a Goodwill store or somewhere else, and you find a box, a container, just grab it. It requires a little bit of a being proactive. Whenever you see something and you find it at even 50 cents, just take it. It'll be useful. So studying the requirements of the materials and what you need to collect, you have time. You have a 9 to 10 months to do it, to plan it. But that is something that the student will have to do ahead, because it's given to them ahead, and they can just read through, oh, I have to look for a box, or I have to look for a tray, or whatever it is. So that can bring down the cost quite a lot also.
Yeah, and I know as a Montessorian, when you start to go through training and you start to understand those elements of the materials, you start to shop very differently. And
Exactly.
sometimes you'll just be at the local store and you'll say, "Ooh, that would be perfect for something, but I don't know what." And even if you're not in the classroom anymore, you see those things and you want to buy them and give them to a Montessorian. So
garage sales are a treasure.
yes. So one of the big questions is, how does somebody balance this if they're working? Because yes, it's great to have the blended module, but do you have tips or tricks for people who are trying to balance working full-time, maybe having a family, as well as going through training?
Yes, it is. I'm not going to mince words here. The course is equivalent to a graduate study. Let us just put it out there. It is an intense course. It is a rigorous course. The students' investment of time and commitment is commensurate. So as the course progresses, the mindset of the student, first of all, really helps, in the sense that commitment is huge. I want to do this. I really want to do this no matter what. Right? And it's requires a little bit of quite a lot of self-discipline. It requires planning. And these two are really the key. It's first for me is the commitment, right? I'm a student now. I'm going through it. I'm taking the diploma course, and I can understand from the student's perspective else also. Right now, I'm appreciating it more. One thing that is helping me is how do I finish the day's work at the end of the day so that I'm always on top of things. That is commitment. That is also self-discipline, and I'm putting a lot into the bank because I don't know what is going to happen in the future. So that is there. And in a blended course, the beauty is that the students have blocks of time between modules to submit their coursework, right? That can be used wisely by the students. I'm not saying that you have to ignore your family commitments or you have to ignore your life. No. Even committing yourself for 45 minutes or 1 hour each day takes you a long way, right? And the training staff is always there to support the students. It's in any way they need. Yes. And in addition to the scheduled course hours, which is a requirement, the students, if they can plan spending an X amount of time per week in completing or in at least getting into the coursework, goes a long way per week. So chunk it, take it week by week by week by week. So that helps a lot, and that keeps them from getting overwhelmed. Oh my goodness, I have to do so much now. But if you do, how do you bite an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that is how you need to view this course also. Right?
Yeah.
I hope it helps, but it is an intense course, yes.
Well, I think it's important to note too that these are the same. The mindset, the commitment, the planning are all things you need when you're working with children too. Like, so this is setting you up to work with children.
Exactly.
And I also know that through my own training, one of the big supports that I had, and I was very lucky to have, was my family was very supportive of what I was doing. And my employer knew what I was getting into and what I was doing. So to have support systems outside of the training is also, I think, incredibly helpful throughout the process as well. But I think the one thing to reiterate here too is that MCM and our trainers, we understand that you're human, and the best way for us to be able to help you in your situation is to communicate with us.
Absolutely, yes. I can't reiterate that more. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if something happens, life happens, we all understand that. Reach out, have that discussion with us so that we can come up with a plan together. We can, the program can be customized. So it's important to reach out because we won't know until you share. Yeah.
And I don't know if you would use this statement as well, but we always say trust the process, right?
Trust the process.
Trust
Yes.
the process. So
yes, trust the process.
We are here to help and guide, but also trust in the process and trust in yourself too.
Exactly. You can do it.
Yep. Well, is there anything else that maybe we should touch on before we end?
There is one thing I wanted to include was also that yes, the undergraduate level is preferable, but if one does not have an undergraduate degree, reach out to us. Reach out to us, because as long as one loves children and one wants to know more about children, and what can an adult do with those children? I think that is the fundamental requirement. Because as once you enroll in the program, you will see that this approach is so powerful and so different that whatever the education I've had before, I'm thinking totally different now. My thinking has changed so much about human child and human beings, and you will feel empowered through this philosophy as a human being, right? So reach out to us even if you do not have an undergraduate degree.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We at MCM have a partnership with our local university here in Minnesota, Metropolitan State University, where the 3 to 6 credits can be viewed as prior learning credits towards the child psychology degree, because they do offer those courses online. We also have it for early childhood degrees with Metro State, but those are in-person classes in Minnesota. So if you're willing
that's
to,
wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah,
so,
that's wonderful.
yeah.
Getting this dual thing
Mhm.
to this course, and then you get the credits for that. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. And we hope to see more of you soon.
Thank you, Kate. It was a pleasure talking to you. Yeah.